welcome to Labour Lens. I am Sharon Ijason. On this week's edition of the program, we'll be focusing on the oil and gas sector and several challenges that the workers in the sector are faced with as NUPENG issues 14-day ultimatum. We will be right back. Members of the Non-Academic Staff Union of Education and Associated Institutions NASU are threatening to embark on an industrial action. They made the threat at the just concluded National Executive Council meeting of the association. President of the union, Makolo Haksan, insists that the increase in payment of the earned allowances is expedient following rise in the cost of goods and services in the country.
The United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, in its Education for All report for 2000 to 2015 tagged Dakar Framework of Action called for significant increase in financial commitment by national governments and donors to the education sector to accelerate progress towards achieving the EFA goals. Mohamed Buhari joined other world leaders in August 2021 Global Education Summit in London to make commitment to increase funding of education. He promised at the summit that his administration will increase the annual domestic education budget for 2022 and 2023 by 50%. 3 months down the line, August 2021 to October 2021, the 2022 budget to the education sector falls short of that promise.
The General Secretary of the Union, Peter Adeyemi, said it's important for governments to honor the agreements it entered into. He said it is a collective bargaining agreement that has not been honored.
Be going cap in hand, begging government to apprehend strike. So when you go on this strike, they call you to a meeting, you will hardly see other agencies of government there. We in ASU have attended several meetings that the Minister of Labour will be seated. In our presence, the Minister will be calling budget, this, that. These guys don't respect the trade union. They think we are just there for nothing. And that is why the orientation has to change. It's not about lack of knowledge. It's about lack of will on the part of employers to do what is desirable.
The union also passed a vote of no confidence on government's payment platform, the Integrated Payroll and Personal Information System, IPES. It's almost 2 weeks since bandits kidnapped 12 members of the Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees, NULGE. At this press briefing, the national president of NULGE and other key members are getting impatient over abduction of their members in Kaduna State.
We are here to show our concern on the ugly incident that happened in Kaduna recently. Exactly on 8th of November, 13 members of our union, who are local government practitioners, were kidnapped along Zaria Road. These workers have been in the captivity of the kidnappers den up till now. We are therefore making a very serious appeal to the government and people of Kaduna State to make it as a matter of urgency and importance the need to work assiduously towards release of our members in good health and in a secured environment.
The NULGE president insists that the union and family members do not have 40 million naira ransom demanded by the kidnappers and called on the state government to intervene.
They contacted the family and they are demanding for 40 million naira ransom for the remaining 12 people. 13 of them were kidnapped in local government official vehicle. And one of them was released, that is the driver, to go back and inform the family members. You see, the situation is worse because of the shutdown of communication in Kaduna State. For us, we believe that NULGE cannot raise 40 million. The family members are so poor, they can't raise money. These are poor workers who cannot feed, whose 30,000 minimum wage is not fully paid. I don't know how they intend to secure their release. And to make the matter worse, government keeps saying that they are not going to pay ransom. If you are not paying ransom, you should be proactive enough and secure the release of these people.
The workers demanded immediate release of their members working with the Zaria local government area who were kidnapped on the 8th of November.
Well, this is not, there's actually no right time for them to even go on strike to even start with. We are going through enough hardship already, and now that there's a proposed increase in the cost of fuel, is that not going to make life even more difficult than it already is? So I don't think we need it at this point in time, and then it's now become a tradition. At the end of every year, the cost of fuel has to increase, and then by January we are starting with, a new price, which it's not ideal, considering the kind of hardship that we're going through now. Cost of food is very expensive, housing is expensive, generally goods are expensive, and then you now increase the cost of fuel. So an increase in cost of fuel means there will now be an increase even in cost of living, So I don't think now is even a good time. I don't think any time is a good time to even increase the price of fuel if there's a lot of suffering in the land.
This is not the right time for them to go on strike, because if you watch now, everyone is about to enter season, and this is the Christmas period where everybody run the business and make more money, and everything will move fine. Because if they go on strike, there will be more hunger, and there's more killing and more everywhere. There will be a thief everywhere. So this is not the right time to go on strike. I think government should do something. Let them work hand in hand. If they want to go on strike, not now, not this exactly period. It can be next year, maybe after the festival period. That is all. This is not the right time at all.
It will affect Cuba. It will affect everybody. So it's not good to go strike. But the thing where I want, let them do well with them.
But you won't make them go on strike?
I don't want anybody go strike.
It's not good make them go strike now, because it's a festive period now around the enter, so like this people go travel, and some people go want the transport, like people where they do transport business, like person like me now, it go affect me very well if they go to strike. So it's not a good idea at all. The problem is that why you say they always get problem with this our government every time. Make them say solve the issue. They know what they're supposed to do. So make them do them so that everything go work very fine. You get it?
If you say make them not go strike, make them go strike.
Make them no go the strike. You no pay at all. If they go strike, what affect? Who say poor man say okay, like now this machine now I just go carry it now. I go work now. If say if we no dey inside, I want to work. If we no dey, I want to work. So it will affect us badly, please.
On the profile interview segment this week, I will be speaking with the national president of NUPENG, Comrade Williams Akporeya. It gives us reasons why it's expedient for NUPENG to embark on an industrial action following the fact that many of the oil and gas employers are not treating workers accordingly. According to him, decent work must prevail in the oil and gas sector. It's good to have you on the program. Since our last conversation, a lot of things have actually happened in the oil and gas sector. Well, most recently, there's a 14-day ultimatum that's been given out and that's been issued out to government. I know that before, it's been a while that we've heard of NUPENG coming out to even say they want to embark on an industrial action. So can you bring us up to speed while it is important at this point in time to take action?
Yeah, actually we try to exercise a lot of restraint. We'll try to do things differently, especially my administration, so that this impression of NUPENG always coming out to strike, to put hardship, on people, on Nigerians, So we try to see how we can do things differently by most time engaging, but it's becoming a situation now where even people we are engaging now are seeing that as weakness on our part, because I really don't see how a worker will work 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, up to 10 months, and they will not be paid the salaries. In the oil and gas, I know that these salaries are, very big money. You know that almost the entire sector is being casualized. These are casual workers whose salaries, is not even up to, in some cases, 100 or 120,000 naira because of casualization. And then a company cannot even pay these workers their salaries when it is due. It's very unfortunate that oil and gas is gradually becoming a slave camp in Nigeria. Because it's an environment now where once worker raises their intention to belong to union, it's either they are fired or they are made to stay at home, based on COVID-19 protocol. That is a way of trying to phase them out. This is challenging we are facing. We have always engaged Ministry of Labour that this trend cannot continue. But it's like, again, they are overwhelmed because, like they always tell us, their role is just advisory. And they cannot force, the companies to do otherwise. So as a union, as a responsible organization, we will not continue to fold our hands. Before now, we have tried to engage everybody, that this trend is dangerous. But nobody seems to be listening.
Apart from some of these workers being sacked, we have some of them that have been working for as much as 10 months without pay. Definitely. That means the whole of 2021, no salary.
Exactly.
So as the president of these members, how have you been coping with such complaints?
We've always reached out to such companies. We have organs. We try to ask our zonal sector or zonal executive, have you engaging them, to find a way out. When they reached out to us and they said, at this point, they are not making a headway, we asked them, please engage them. In some cases, I've had to even personally, from the National Secretariat, also write those companies. The major challenge here, is that even when some of these workers, immediately they identify their interests to belong to NUPENG, that contract abruptly ends.
Before now, there's been an agreement by which the Ministry of Labour has been able to broker between oil and gas companies in ensuring that whether you're casual workers or you're not casual or you are a permanent worker, you are allowed to freely join the union. So what changed?
That is the challenge here. The companies refuse to comply with that.
Is it because of COVID-19? Is there paucity of funds?
There are guidelines in place.
Okay.
But the company has also refused to comply. And the ministry is saying their role is advisory. They cannot compel them to comply. So if we have such a society where everybody can do whatever he likes, then that means we as a union we can also do whatever we like. We have resolved to do whatever we like at this point. Because nobody seems, to even be following the rules of best practices. They talk of outsourcing, and the outsourcing, is a global practice. But is it the way it's being practiced here in Nigeria? That's why it's being practiced abroad. Of course, it's no. Why are the majors? Why are they not directly employing workers? Why are they casualizing every part of their department? And nobody's talking. Minister of Labour is not talking. Minister of Petroleum is not talking. So as a union, I think we have also met brick wall, and we are going to react. That's our position for now.
Looking at the fact that NUPENG is resolute to ensure that the workers in the sector or your members in the sector are actually well taken care of in terms of their welfare and others. Looking at the issue again with COVID-19 pandemic, we know that it's a new normal, but we know that the ILO director has actually said it should be a better normal. There are a lot of changes, especially when it comes to the use of IT to do your work, the issue of you working from home. We know that it's even more expensive for the workers. And I know many of the oil and gas workers fall into this category of people that actually have to face their screen for more than 10 hours at times to actually deliver on their duty. So can you bring us up to speed? Has been your members' feedback towards adjusting to the new normal of working from home and still having to perform optimally and meet targets vis-a-vis the economic downturn? Would you say that the companies are not the ones that are making profit at this point in time and workers left to suffer?
Well, the truth of the matter here is that most of our members are technical workers. They're technical. Our services are day-to-day kind of services. So, and I want to say here too that our services are also essential services by the kind of services they render. So most of them, actually, they can't even stay at home. Most of them, can't stay at home. They need to be, on the job and at the offices to also perform their duties. Most of them are even field workers.
Offshore, onshore.
Offshore and onshore, exactly. So they are not even supposed to stay at home. But where they want to victimize them, because either they are asking for their rights, or they want to identify with NUPENG, that is the time they remember that they must stay at home. They'll go and employ new workers, to come and take over their position.
Are you now saying that the advent of COVID-19 has brought about employers of labor using that against workers?
It is used as an excuse, even when it did not really affect them.
So is it now a situation whereby you're now trying to make workers redundant? Look
at this, the clear picture here. Management today have grown this thick skin of trying to resist workers belonging to union. They don't want workers to belong to union. And even when you belong to union, that means you sign your resignation letter to go out of the job. And again, they have also decided not to even directly employ these workers. They will bring in paymasters, either as community leaders, community chief, to come and they will see the workers to them. And those people will pay them peanuts. And if they don't want to work, of course, they'll frustrate them out. That's the challenge we are facing here. The IOCs majorly are culprits in this act of outsourcing all their departments. So at the end of the day, when you are even producing oil, who are your staff? And it's running a business all about, undercutting workers' welfare. Why companies like Chevron, companies like Shell, companies like Egypt, we outsource almost all their business and bring in paymasters. In most cases, they employ the workers, they train them, and then send them to community leaders and chiefs, to be paying them. To me, that is slavery. And most of these chiefs too come in under the guises of some companies, Nigeria Limited, and and all that, who refuse to pay these workers.
I know the Minister for State of Labour and Employment recently said that the government is working assiduously to ensure that casualization and outsourcing of workers is brought to the barest minimum. But what would be your suggestion?
To me, with due respect, to that comrade barrister, that is under lip service. This is the same story they've been telling us for the past 3 years. They want to review the casualization guidelines, and all that. That has been the story. And nothing is happening. Workers are suffering. They are being impoverished. The companies, they themselves too, are cutting homes what these workers are supposed to get as salaries. And nobody's talking. This part of Nigeria, for Christ's sake. And last somebody was saying, why is NUPENG giving an ultimatum at this point in time, when we are close to Christmas? But are these workers not Nigerians? Are they not supposed to also enjoy their Christmas? Why would they work for somebody and will refuse to pay? Or terminate a worker because it's had to belong to NUPENG, and because of that, it's not entitled to anything. So we are not going to, going to allow that, for Christ's sake.
So what would be your recommendations for the Ministry of Labour? Do you think that maybe the inspectorate unit actually has to do more in terms of going to inspect, ask questions, or probably liaise with unions to ensure that they give information and they can act accordingly, to ensure that best practice is being observed in the country?
Again, the various agencies know what to do, but they deliberately not doing what they are supposed to do. They know what to do. The inspectorate agencies, Ministry of Labour, they know what to do to get these people to do what is needful, to make sure that Nigerians, don't just work and not get their pay. They know what to do.
So is this like a call to the Ministry of Labour to act?
Let me use the word, probably they'll be overwhelmed. They'll be overwhelmed by the antics, of these companies. Yeah. So, but I feel we as NUPENG have responsibility to protect Nigerians, to protect workers that are working in the oil and gas. That even though we encourage everybody to come and do business, but you should also be civil and let your policies also have human face. Don't allow people to work for you and you don't pay them. As we say, they are not our staff. They are not my workers. But these people work in your premises. They don't work in the contractor premises. In most cases, they don't even know who the contractors are. The contractor just, at the end of the month, send a salary to their accounts.
And you can't even ask questions.
Well, of course, there's no. So how can you say, okay, because they are not my workers, then, I can't be held liable to that? Of course, that is the reason why we are desirous of going ahead with this action. We want to let the world know that these workers are not alone.
Okay, now you said as an ultimatum. Upon expiration of the ultimatum, is there anything you think the government can do? Is it that what is the unanimous decision of the NEC? Would it be that if workers don't receive alert, there would be no going back? What is the demand? What is the demand for these workers?
Yes, those that are employment need to get the alerts of every month that is owed to them. Then those that have been sacked, or relieved of their jobs because they belong to the union must sit and discuss their benefits. As we speak, there are also workers today that are being threatened that if they don't renege in their interest in belonging to NUPENG, they will also be fired. We are also watching. We have the case of Pyramid, that workers have moved from over 3 contracts for over 15 years. This group of workers have been moving from one contractor to another. And they've not been paid. Even when they move from one contractor to another, they don't pay them off. And most period of these people's life, had been used. Useful life had been used. And that is the scenario we are finding ourselves.
So on a final note, recently President Muhammadu Buhari passed into law, signed the document of the PIA, and a lot of measures are actually happening already, a lot of changes. He has even requested for some adjustments in the bill, or the act now, if I may say. So what are your observations, and do you foresee job loss during this process of transition?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. I think our interest mostly is on the labor issues, on the PIA. So far, we have been assured that there will not be job losses. Well, we want to believe them. But again, we are also watching. Because one thing, this government is good at assuring, but then something happens later. So we want to believe that no worker will lose their job. We believe that, we are holding that strongly. But as a union and as an organization, we're also watching and make sure that that assurance does not change. Because if it changes, we will react. We're particularly concerned the way most things are being done right now. We are not in the picture of most things that have been done. Even when we said, okay, why were the two unions, NUPENG and PEGAS, not included, in this process of transition? We are not getting any response from that. So again, we are also waiting on the outcome of whatever thing, policy that will come out. And then Nigeria will also get our response.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And that's all we can take on today's edition of the program. Join us next week for a fresh edition of the show. I am Sharon Ijason. Thanks for watching, and remember that labor creates wealth.